I don't think anything I say in this video has dots connected. Good luck. I did buy some things at the Sephora sale, and I also wanted to go into my testing drawer and pull out some things that I really need to make up my mind on and understand how I feel about them so I can tell that to you. I also have a thing that, I don't know if you remember that I did this, but I had a purgatory box with 2 items in it that I wasn't sure I wanted to have in my makeup collection, and I did go in there and pull something out because I would like to play with that. I'll be using the new stuff on my face. I'll be using the old stuff on my face. Let's get into it. We're gonna start with this. This is the CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancer Primer in 30 Cashmere Calm. I did like a half and half test of this primer with another CoverGirl primer. The other one I tried, I like really didn't like. I'm not 100% sold on this one because I think it's too green. I feel like it makes me look a little bit sick. In fact, I think the first time I tried this was also the first time I tried the Patrick Ta foundation, and I remember the Patrick Ta foundation looking a little green over top of it, but I remember liking the way the makeup sat on it. I just want to give it another go. I remember liking it but not loving it. This formula was just like translucent and not green. I think I might like it more. Not that I don't like the color correcting properties. I think it does do the color correcting, slight color correcting, like nothing, a primer is not going to give you like a full coverage color correcting situation, but it is a nice start because just everything's a little more even. I did in fact wash my brushes last night. I deserve a round of applause for that. Going in with the Sisley Blur Expert, nothing new here, doing my usual thing. Here's where things get not spicy, a little bit exciting. I'm finding myself swept up in the Sephora sales, but I unfortunately too am susceptible to the marketing and the feeling and getting that rush. There's another thing I want to buy from the Sephora sale, but I'm just not going to buy it because it's a moisturizer, which is like not even that exciting. But 2, I have 2 moisturizers in my backups. Basically, I try to use my skincare that I receive in PR just kind of like in the order that I get it. If I like it well enough and I don't feel like it's harming my skin, usually I will just use it. If I have no interest in even trying it, normally I just like don't try it and I just try to pass it on to someone. But I have 2 moisturizers ready to go. And my one moisturizer is almost empty. And I was trying to justify, it's like, well, you could just buy a moisturizer. I don't even need the moisturizer. So I was actually watching some of my old content. In that video, my skin looked really good. And it was 4K. It was in this current era of the 4K. Well, not the current era of hair, but my skin looked really good. And I was like, what am I wearing as foundation? It was this thing. So this is the Rituel de Fille Lab Access release of the Creator Concealer. It's not called that, the actual release. I don't have the new release of whatever this turned into, so I can't speak to it. But I really liked the way my skin looked. Only really one of you showed interest in me trying out the new version of this concealer and doing a comparison situation. And I just like don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm not the biggest fan of concealer, just kind of in general. The only unfortunate thing about this product is that like it's not in this version of it, something that you could buy. But I do feel as though my friend Andromeda has said that the new version of it's very close. And I'm just inclined to believe them. I think what I really want to figure out today is, do I want to keep this? Because who knows what complexion is going to come down the pipeline later? And will I be more interested in that? And I'm not always concerned about, obviously, whether or not you, as someone who views my content, is able to buy something I'm talking about. And that's not to be rude to you. It's just like, if I love something, why can't I use it on camera? There is a version of this that does exist that you can buy, but I already have this one and it just feels wasteful to me to buy the new one if I'm not going to use it for content, and I probably just wouldn't make that kind of content with it. Anyway, my skin looked really good. If I recall correctly, my feelings about this at the time, which was many months ago, whenever I kind of just set it aside, it was a lot of coverage, but it looked really beautiful on my skin. Now the color is looking a little bit off. We'll see as I blend it out. And I don't think it's gonna be terribly off if it is off, but we'll just see. And I remember it looking really good, just kind of as like a skin finish, medium full coverage situation. And I do remember I really liked wearing it as a foundation. Not that I haven't been enjoying my usual foundations. I just feel like my skin is changing a little bit. And I do think it's like actually just changing beyond just weather, but it also could be stress. As I record this, it's the day before the United States presidential election. It's not something that I've been actually trying to like focus a lot on to let it really affect me. I made the decision I was going to make and I'm just kind of sticking to it. And I think it makes my skin look really good. So kind of just exactly what I was remembering. It looks a little more matte than I remember it looking. I remember it having more of like a skin finish, but I'm getting like more of a demi matte finish. But that could be the primer. It didn't mattify my skin, but That primer is certainly not as glowy as my usual. In that video, I was using the Victoria Beckham Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. You know, the glowy one, the one I just finished, the golden one. My skin looks incredible. As I start applying things on top of it, it's also going to look even better. I'm going to talk about this again. I did redirect someone to a video where I demoed what I do. In my last video, I talked about this product. I think it's really hard for people to wrap their heads around. And I'm not saying that I'm using it the correct way or the right way. I don't think there is a right way to use it. Some people use it kind of as like a setting powder. It's not a powder, it's a balm. It's this Spectral Shine Balm. I have the shade Divine Daylight. Some people use it as a highlighter. I don't think it is glowy enough, in my opinion, to be a highlighter. This isn't necessarily a product that I recommend because I do the most with my complexion to get the ultimate outcome that I could possibly get. What I'm looking for in my complexion is I like blurring of the skin. I want my primer to blur. I want my foundation to blur. I want my powders to blur. This is one of my blurring steps. So this is how I think of it. So I already have foundation. I have concealer down, and this is before I powder. This product is incredibly dense, and it's just a weird formula. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I do ultimately believe when you're interacting with a product that it should feel intuitive. And I don't feel like this product is intuitive. That's what I said in my initial review of it. Whenever I wasn't into it, I still kind of feel that way. I just don't think people know what to make of it. I think people play around with it and like never just quite figure out what they like to do with it. And this is just what I like to do with it. So I got a lot of product on here, and I'm just gonna stamp it into the skin, and I use it kind of as like a prep step. And I just think it gives when I say the softest of glows, it's so almost undetectable. That makes it look more airbrushed, as if someone took a blurring filter and put it on my cheek. That's what I feel like happened there. And then if you look at this side, it's also, you know, it looks good. I think this concealer is doing a lot of favors for me. It just adds a little bit of something, but it's like kind of like a hint of it. It's like not something that's doing so much for me that it's a product that I think like everyone would need to go out and get to do this. Like, I do the most with my complexion. Whenever I do like affiliate linking and I link all the stuff I use in my videos, complexion is all, I have so much for complexion. I think most other people would probably have like a ton of stuff for whatever they're doing on their eyes. Mine's the complete opposite. It's like a primer, a foundation, a concealer, 4 powders. This I find in complexion, like with my foundation and concealer, like the subtleties are really what makes the difference for me. There are so many good products out there. Whenever a product, like I put it on my skin and I like really feel like I'm stopped dead in my tracks, that's when I feel good about something. Like that's when I feel really excited about something. And I feel like this phytosurgence product on a lesser product would make it look so much better. But I do think that the concealer from Rituel is a very good product. In fact, I stand by the fact I think it's their best complexion product. I tried their like complexion product in a compact, which I like. I don't like their foundation. I think this is the best iteration of anything they released. Phytosurgence on top of like a foundation I might like a little less, or that doesn't blur as much as I like. It would just kind of give it the blur that I expect out of my complexion product anyway. So it's kind of a handy little tool, but like it's part of my routine. I really like doing it, but it's such a soft and subtle difference. And that's not going to be worth it for a lot of people. It is worth it for me. I'm going to contour with Intuition from Rituel de Fille. I'm going to start telling you my Sephora story, and then when we get to the products, here were my intentions going into Sephora. One, if I was going to shop a sale, I did want to shop it in person, because the thing I wanted to exchange the Makeup by Mario palette for, I hadn't seen in Sephora lighting, which I don't think is the best lighting, but it would be different lighting than from the lighting I first saw the Charlotte Tilbury palette in, which is what I was going to exchange it for. The holiday Charlotte Tilbury palette, I was like, for sure, because a couple of weeks ago, or like a month ago, or no, it was a couple of weeks ago, because it was my birthday. We're out on my birthday. We went to the mall, and inside of Nordstrom, which has better lighting than a Sephora. When I say better lighting for display. There's something about these like luxury stores that really know how, well, some of them, not all of them. Blue Mercury is another one I think that really knows how to light makeup. So whenever like light hits it, it looks as sparkly as it will ever look. Lighting really matters. Whenever I do sparkle cam on here, the stuff that I'm showing off, it looks more sparkly because in low light with like direct spotlight on it, of course you're gonna get your glowiest, most gorgeous version of the eyeshadow. And that's what was happening at Nordstrom. So I wanted to go into a Sephora and see if I really wanted to exchange it for the Charlotte Tilbury palette. And also there were some other things that if I wasn't going to buy the Charlotte Tilbury palette, if I swatched them again, I might be interested in purchasing. I headed to Sephora. I walked in and I wanted to smell the glossy perfumes. If you recall in Critical Sass, I was fairly certain that the one I would like and the other one I wouldn't really care for. The glossy display and where all of like the perfume papers to sniff things things are were very close to each other. So like the fragrance wall was on one side and Glacier was on the other side. I was about to tell you, it was like, it's at the old Marc Jacobs display, like as if all of you were in the Sephora that I worked at. And you know exactly how that Sephora was laid out 5 years ago. You don't, because you weren't there. Went to the fragrance wall to grab some papers. We'll come back to that. I have a couple of things I'm trying to figure out. This is the Merit Balm, highlighting balm in Cava. I wore this yesterday for the first time in a while, and it's been in my testing drawer. It's something that I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to keep it, and using it, I was fairly certain, I think in my mind, that I had made up that it wasn't something that I would really want to keep. I used it yesterday. I really liked the way my skin looked with it on. Something I'm trying to keep in mind is like, I didn't use it for a while, so it like, I think it's a really pretty product. It's not going to be for everyone because it's not really one of those balms that really sets down. So if you don't like a balm that stays balmy and, you know, has that tactile experience on the skin, you probably won't like it. But I think that glow is just like incredible. Like such an angelic, like soft glow. It's so pretty. Yesterday I wore it. I did very minimal makeup on my face, like not a lot of bronzer, not a lot of blush, that was just like part of it, and it looked so good. It was my cousin's birthday, and I was like, I want to do some makeup, but I didn't feel like doing like, you know, the most, and I really like that. When it has come to highlighter, it got really wiped to the back of the drawer, essentially, whenever I brought in the Gucci and the Hindash highlighters. Now, this was sent to me by Merit whenever I did the sponsorship with them. Yeah, I don't know. I think just like me not choosing it says a lot whenever I'm choosing to wear those powders. Like in my testing drawer, like if I was doing a testing drawer video, or if I was like, let me play with some stuff I'm testing, it just was never something that I was thinking about. I'm going to keep that in mind as I continue to figure out whether or not I want to keep it. And kind of the same thing for the Merit Flush Balm, Flush Balm in my Sephora video, my Sephora like anti-hauling the sale essentially. In that video, it sounded like I was saying Flush Balm, like F-L-E-S-H, but it's F-L-U-S-H. Flush, and this is in the shade Fox. This is a gorgeous blush. Honestly, I have been choosing the product that I'm trying to pan this year, like the most whenever I go to choose a blush. And the blush I'm trying to fully use up this year, which I don't think is going to happen, is the shade Inner Glow from Kjaer Weis. Panning it showed me how much I really like it, and I also just think it's like a really unique blush. The thing about this is like, I just haven't found my perfect shade in this formula, and I do think my favorite shade of it is Bespoke, which is in that trio, which like, it doesn't make me want to buy that trio. I just think that they should make it a permanent one. Like, I think this is a really pretty blush. I think it looks really good on me, but it's just like, if I'm choosing arguably the blush I should be the most sick of, and like, you know, I'm not doing like project panning content, but at the beginning of the year, I kind of set forth a couple of things that I wanted to pan. And like, I still kind of have the mindset that I would like to pan it, even though I don't really think that I'm going to use it by the end of the year, but I just really have been enjoying wearing it. And like, the problem I've always had with project panning is that I get sick of the products that I'm trying to pan. I'm just going to use some powders that I've used a lot on my channel. Then maybe the blush that's newest to me, the Merit blush, if I'm not opting to choose it over my regular collection, just means I'm not that excited about it. And I do think it is honestly the shade that I don't really like 100% love. It's not the formula that I'm not like 100% loving. The highlighters that I've been really loving, I keep pulling them out because I love them. I choose them from the testing drawer, even if I'm doing makeup where I'm not requiring myself to use makeup from the testing drawer. That's how I truly try to discern like what I think is good and I recommend to you, but also what I want to add into my permanent collection after I'm done testing it. We're really getting to the edges on this one. I guess whenever I use it up, it will be like, will I just rebuy it? And I think I will, actually. And the reason I say that is because, I don't know, I really like this one and I've gotten a lot of value out of it. Like, I've gotten years worth of value out of it. I just don't feel like going on the hunt for a blurring powder. That's kind of just how I'm feeling right now. It's just like, I don't feel like I need to try another one. So here's the complexion. Oh no, I didn't do bronzer. I threw this as on a bronzer yesterday. I've been really liking it. This is kind of like an old friend. I know I've been kind of using it a little bit more on camera recently, but like, it's been very joyous using it on camera whenever I have been. And I use it yesterday off camera too. It's just been nice to use it more because I feel like when I was using it as a blush, I just didn't love it as much as a blush. And I just am not going to be a person who like bronzers, you know, and that's going to be my one cheek product. Even though I think that this product has an interesting enough depth to it to like pull off being a bronzer type product. But for me, I just like it as a bronzer and I like to use other blushes on it. I was doing cool tones on my cheek yesterday and I think it still looked really lovely with the cool tones, even though I think that this would be you know, a little warmer. The concealer took really well to powder. I've been thinking a lot about foundations and what I want to do. What I've decided is that at the end of the year, I'm going to kind of like do, I think like maybe just kind of like a week's worth of content. So like 3 different videos. One video will be, you know, my complete collection declutter. So like permanent stuff in my collection, going through it. And it's mostly going to be a tour. There will be some decluttering. I'm, you know, thinking about it when I'm pulling out makeup from different drawers. I'm like, okay, I think it's time, and making that decision. And then I will do, you know, the reckoning with all of the PR and stuff I bought for review, make decisions in that video. And then like the 3rd video will be taking the stuff that I reckoned with, putting it up against the stuff that I have in my collection already, and like do some swatch comparisons and really trying to be like, okay, does this make sense? So I'm not really sure how I want to do it. Kind of makes sense to do all as one video, but that would be like an incredibly long video, and I don't want to edit that. So I'm trying to figure out how to like piece it. Anyway, basically what I want to do is just kind of like show you everything, swatch everything next to each other, including stuff from the reckoning with my collection, so that whenever I make my final decisions on the products, the makeup collection that I'm going into 2025 with, which is crazy that we're going into 2025, as curated as it can be, and I don't have anything that I don't feel like using. And I think it's going to be more ruthless, but I also think, sorry, I've been thinking about this. What happens is like at the end of the year, it's like you start thinking about the content you want to make for the end of the year. And there's like that regular content that you're going to make, like the best of the year, the worst of the year. I like to always do a complete collection tour and declutter. I think collection tours and checking in with them is really helpful, but also gets a lot of people to like come to your channel and see what you're about. And also gives people who might be newer to my channel from, you know, right now, like I just kind of got a bigger burst in subscribers. It'll really show you what I like and what I'm interested in, because like the collection is like curated. I tried my best to like try to understand like how PR will affect my relationship with makeup. I think it just did more than I thought it was going to. So I just want to be even more prepared as my channel continues to grow and I get more opportunities, like to make sure that my collection feels like it's stuff that I'm actually going to be using. Anyway, back to applying things. Let's get to it. This was another old friend I had thought of whenever I was watching that video, the Victoria Beckham eyewear. And like there was a long stretch of time, I feel like the first half of this year, I was using these nonstop. Like every look, I was using them. And I do feel like as of recently, it's been the Merit Solo Shadow that I've been using a lot of, but I had stopped using these for a while leading up into getting the Merit Solo Shadow. So I just want to play with these again. I want to know if they're still as good as I remember, because I remember really liking them. And I was also wearing these in that video as well, because I always wore them both, and it was one was all over the lid, and this is the shade, I think, Pecan. It's that or Trench. Oh, Trench. So take Trench, and I just kind of put that all over the lid, and it's pretty close to my skin tone, so just kind of like effortlessly blends in. Looks really good. And I had the shade Elephant on in that video from Chantecaille on top of them, with a little bit of Lunar Lightwave from Phytosurgence, and that was such a pretty eye look. It was so soft for me, and I was like, oh god. And the eye look I want to create today, I want it to be a little bit softer with the product that I bought from Sephora. So I had to go to the fragrance wall. When I went over there, my former coworker, who does not work at Sephora anymore either, like we both worked at Sephora together, neither one of us works at Sephora anymore, she was there on the phone just at the fragrance wall, and we like gooped and gagged. We were like so excited to see each other. We hadn't seen each other in a while. We had seen each other since we quit, but it just had been a while since we had seen each other. And then one of our coworkers that still works there, and there are not very many of our coworkers that worked there when we worked there that still work there, she was there, and we were just having a time kikiing, and it was so much fun. And like we were talking about like what I wanted to buy, and Lena, that's her name. And Lena's actually been on my channel before. Whenever I used to do new makeup nonsense bingos, she like actually did an episode with me, if you were here back then. So I ran into Lena, and I forgot that she was on my channel. She was like, do you really want the Charlotte Tilbury palette? And so we went and swatched it, and she was like, Tom, I don't think that you actually want this. And then she went and got tacos with her friend. And so then I was like left with that thought. I was left in Sephora, and I was like talking to my friends and my other coworkers, and then another coworker that I used to work with, actually, who would only work the night shift, she walked in, and I got to see her too. It was like so great. I didn't really want to do the task of returning the palette. Like I didn't want to really go in, but like I knew that going in, obviously It'd be easier to make the return, even though I could have shipped it back because I bought it online. And then also like getting to touch things, but also getting to touch things leads you to like maybe wanting to buy things you hadn't intended on buying. When I looked at the Charlotte Tilbury palette, it is so red and it just looked more pink whenever I looked at it in Nordstrom. And I was like, I kind of love the pink vibes of it. A kind of other bigger portion of it was more red. I don't wear a lot of red, and that would be a big mistake, I think, in my opinion, for me to buy it. So I was like, okay, so we're not going to buy that. But the other thing I had in mind that I knew for sure if I didn't want to buy the Charlotte Tilbury palette that I wanted to buy is this. I feel like everyone just started talking about these. I don't know if Armani's doing a re-promote because I was watching Hannah Louise post and I think she got these in PR. I know that Lauren has some of them. I don't know if she got them in PR. I was like interested in this separately from like, I feel like everyone started talking about it right after I decided that I was like into the idea of this. So again, at Nordstrom, this was on the Armani display and it was like marked as new. And this is the shade 32S, which I have to imagine S is sparkle because they have matte ones, they have, I think, satin ones, or maybe S is satin. I would not call this a satin. It's very sparkly. When I swatched this, I was like, oh, that is very much my speed. So basically, and I'll put swatches of it up. I'm not going to do both versions on my eye. The best way I could describe the way I have been liking to wear it and like the way I intended on wearing it when I bought it was kind of as a sheer sparkly thing, which I feel like the Makeup by Mario palette wasn't giving me the version of it that I want. And I feel like this gives me the version of I want. And I think the sparkles are really small. It's not like indie sparkle shine. It's just like so pretty. And when I swatched it, I like was immediately in love with it. So it's kind of like a periwinkle color in the bottle. Yeah, periwinkle would be the best way to describe it. And if you want to wear it that opaque, it will look periwinkle, but that's not how I intend on wearing it. First off, really like the look of the Victoria Beckham shadow sticks. I'm happy that I played with those again. Something else I want to do whenever I'm going through my collection is kind of make a stuff I know I love, stuff I use on a regular basis go in one box. And I kind of want to put that away for a while and make a box of like stuff I know I want to keep but I don't play with enough, and see if I play with it and force myself to play with it, if I form a relationship where I really love it, or if I get to the point where it's like maybe this isn't good for my collection anymore. That's kind of what I want to do. Anyway, basically this is like the first iteration of that. Like I haven't played with my Victoria Beckham shadow sticks in a while. Do I really like them? Should I bring them back into the fold? And basically what I've learned doing this today is that I should bring it back into the fold. I'm still newer to this product, so I've only applied it once to my eyes. I've swatched it a bazillion times since I got it because it's so pretty. I'm just going to put some like right here on my lid. And so that's what it would look like opaque. But what I'm going to do is just going to blend it out. So I get basically like Fenty Diamond Balm sparkles on my eyes. If you have the Fenty Diamond Balm, you wouldn't need a second product for this. I got rid of my Fenty Diamond Balm only because I didn't use it on my face. I would only sometimes use it on my eye. Like lived in the highlighter drawer, not in the eyeshadow drawer, which is like two different things. But like that's what hold on, let me zoom you in. This is like my desired outcome from this product is like that. Like look at, I did wear it without anything underneath it yesterday. And I would say I wore it for 5 hours and it did crease a little bit, but it was really easy to tap back out. I haven't tried it with a primer underneath it yet. And obviously I'm not doing that today. So I'm not really sure how that would work, if it would add to the longevity of it. But it's really so far been easy to work with and it does exactly what I want it to do. I do need to try wearing it opaque, but I just wanted to show you like, this is what I was looking for from Ethereal Eyes. And then I know that this is just one shadow. I can use this as a topper. I can use it for so many things. And I'm not really a liquid shadow person, but I am very into like single shadows that are their own thing. And I think that this falls into that category fairly well. And it's just like this angelic sparkle. Look at it. It's so pretty. Because whenever I swatched it and I blended it out, I don't think that Tiff saw the vision. But also I think that Tiff doesn't really understand like where I'm at with eyeshadow right now. And like this. Okay, let's do Sparkle Cam before I forget. So this is with no blur on the Sparkle Cam. Just super wet looking. So now I'm going to blur a little bit so you can really see the sparkle. But it is all just one color of sparkle. Oh, it's so good. If you're going to call me a hypocrite because I like came for the Patrick Ta duos, it's just the fact that the Patrick Ta shadows are duos and I only want one shade of the ones that I want. There's one shade in one that I want and there's another shade in a different one that I want. And I don't want to pay $84 to get the two shades I want. Even if they were in the same palette, there are going to be other people who would want, you know, something similar. Do you know, do you understand what I'm saying? Armani's kind of already priced at this price point. They're already kind of ridiculous. It's like for a very specific client person who's going to be willing to pay that much. I just don't think Patrick Ta is that brand. It's like a special thing, one special thing that I'm going to love more than that palette. I would never use that palette as much as I foresee myself like really getting into this and using it. It's going to be used and loved like my phytosurgence shadows. That's the vision. And just like, I know the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette is like not going to be that. I want to swatch something for you that I bought. And it is a makeup item, but I didn't buy it at Sephora. And I haven't worn it on my eyes yet, but I just want to show it to you. This is from Ulta, like the Ulta makeup line. And it's their glitter cream eyeshadow. It's in the shade Chillin'. Look at that. And if you blend it out, it gives the look to me of some of my favorite like indie sparkles. You can kind of get that really separated piecey look. Basically like what I'm getting from the Armani. I think this has like thicker chunks of glitter, which I think people might like more than the Armani one. But it's like, I kind of like bought the Armani one. It was like, I found like a thing that kind of does a very similar thing. But again, I still have to test this one. I will report back to you. But it also kind of reminded me of Skin of a Killer from the Vamp palette, which it's not a dead-on dupe for, but it's like pretty close. It's a similar idea. The undertone is the thing that's the issue. So that's Chillin' from the Ulta brand. And then that is Skin of a Killer. See how they like have like a very similar finish? So, and I also see, it's interesting because it's described as a silver, but I see like a champagne, almost like green leaning color coming from the one from Ulta. It was very in my bag. I was like covered in sparkle, which is the best and the worst. It's like both things can be true. I'm going to put some of the City Beauty Beyond mascara on, and then we will move on to the next thing that I bought from the Sephora sale. So I did get to smell the Glossier fragrances, and I was exactly right. The one I thought I was gonna like, I liked, and then the one that I thought I wasn't gonna like, I really didn't like. The one I really liked is called You Do. It's the one that's in the white bottle, and I liked it enough that I sprayed it on me. And I walked around the store, you know, it was like the first thing I did, like after I smelled it and I knew I liked it, I was like, I'm just gonna put this on and like wear it throughout the store, see how it wears on me once it settles a little. And guess what? It wears beautifully. And they don't make a small bottle of it. There's no like tester size of it. And there is like a trio of testers available. I don't know if they're only available on Glossier's website, but I think it might also be available on Sephora, but they didn't have them in store. Glossier You is like not the most expensive fragrance. It's not a cheap fragrance. However, I like really loved it. It was so scrumptious that I did buy it. So I have it. I think I'm going to do a video about this and the Merit perfume and just kind of like review them and tell you how I feel about them. But the basic overview is, to me and on me, it smells like Le Labo Santal 33. And if you're not familiar with Le Labo's pricing, it's not $79. But the thing is, that's what it smells like on me. Other people that found out that I bought it, they said, some of them said that it pulled really sweet on them. And it doesn't smell sweet on me. I don't get any gourmand or anything from it. I only smell those earthy, spicy notes. The other thing is I just been like throwing it on since I got it. Like I just have been like, yes, I want to smell like this. I've just been dousing myself in it. It's like actually absurd. I like really, really, really enjoy it. It is a skin scent. I don't really think it has a lot of throw. I haven't really gotten any compliments since I started wearing it. I've just been like, I can smell it on me. It's just kind of like the Merit fragrance. It's like, it's a very close, I don't know if this would be considered a skin scent. I know that You is considered a skin scent, so maybe this would be too. But it has that vibe where it's like, it's up close, personal, very warm and sensual kind of smell. And I just like, really like it. I don't regret buying this at all because basically the Makeup by Mario palette was only $10 cheaper than this. I got the 20% off on it, and like I can tell we're gonna have a good relationship just based on how I've been enjoying it recently. And I'm excited that I got this as well because like the Merit, I've been wearing the Merit fragrance. Like I've been wearing it. And like, I think I've been wearing it so much that it's like, sometimes I feel like I can't smell it. So now I can be excited and I can rotate between the two. I also have more fragrances than that, but like, I've been very excited to wear them and I'm like excited to wear this. I have pretty good wear time with it too. I would say it makes it through the workday. I can still smell it. And, you know, I feel like whenever like a breeze or like I move or, you know, something, like I get to smell it again. So yeah, I just kind of, it's good. It's really good. Like I feel like all the clothes I've been wearing since I bought it smell like it too. So I just really enjoy it. I highly recommend smelling it. If you're into Le Labo Santal 33 and that's out of your price range, but $80 could potentially be in your price range, head to a Sephora that carries Glossier or a Glossier store if you have a Glossier store. give it a sniff. I don't know. And wear it on your skin just to see what it wears like, because it might. It's, and I don't think it's like 100% a dupe for Le Labo, but it gives me like the essence of that, and I just like it. And it's like I wouldn't need Le Labo when I have this. You know, it's like they kind of fill that same hole, that same gap. So the last thing I bought was an impulse purchase, and I know I told you all not to do that. I would say that potentially the Glossier You would be considered an impulse purchase, but I do think under the circumstances when I was there, like I smelled it, I was excited about it, I wore it just to make sure that like it wore well. Like I didn't, when I was wearing it throughout the store, it's not like I had it in my hand to buy. I was just like letting it kind of soak up over me, and I was just like, wow, it just smells really good on the whole. So like, wasn't intending on buying that going in, but you know, I think all things considered, I did as best I could. I was interested in it, and like fragrances, I'm not gonna blind buy a fragrance either. So like online, like I wouldn't have bought it online. So there was no way for me to test it other than the way I tested it. This was an impulse purchase, but it's not one that I regret, okay? Because it's so pretty. It's my magpie moment, and it got me. And it just happened to be because these two were very close to each other on the display. This is also from Armani. It's the Prismaglass in the shade 07. And it's either, I think it's called like Nude Glow, or it's something like that. The display said one thing, but then the bottle says a different thing. The box it came in was a different thing. Anyway, but it's the shade 07. And hopefully I can get this in so you can see. There's like iridescent sparkles. There's like blue and pink sparkles in this. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see them. They're so actually subtle, whatever you apply the gloss, but in the bottle they were like, you can definitely see them. You can see them on your lips, but it actually just makes your lips look like glass. It's so sheer, and it's sparkly, but not in the way that like the Isamaya gloss is sparkly. It's like basically just kind of like the eyeshadow. It's just like a beautiful sheen, a beautiful glossy sheen. And like obviously this is a gloss, so it also has the sheen from being a gloss, but it also just has like, I think there's an additional umph to it whenever like you have those shimmers in it. Because if it was just a nude gloss, I don't think it would have, it's not even like a high impact. I don't think it would feel the same. I'm gonna throw it on without a lip liner. I'm going to do Sparkle Cam on my lips, and we're not going to say anything mean about the state of my lips because they're not in the best shape right now. So you see how the glitter is like so finely milled and so evenly distributed that it's like, it just like makes the gloss look glossier, but like it's not like, I feel like from this distance, I don't think you can really see the blue and pink sparkle, but I think that they add a dimension to it that I wouldn't have without them. So I've worn this a couple of times, and it's a very interesting gloss formula because it's like thin and it feels like chapstick. I think the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that I tried is that the lip balm from Huda, I don't even know if they make it anymore. The lip balm from Huda that came with a wand applicator, it feels like that on the lips. It doesn't really feel like a lip gloss. Almost the opposite is sticky. Like it's just gorgeous. Now I had to play with longevity. Like basically the couple times I put it on, I like put it on and then immediately was eating or drinking right after it. So I don't know like how long it will stay on the lips, but it's comfortable and it feels nourishing. I don't know that the purpose of it is to be nourishing, but like it just feels really nice on the lips, and it doesn't feel like thick or gloopy. It's just like this really thin balm formula. It's like when I guess before I ever tried a lip oil or like a myriad of lip oils, it's what I would have imagined a lip oil to feel like. I don't know if this has a plumping agent in it. If it does, it's very slight, because every time I put it on, there has been a little bit of a tingle. I don't know. It's not like at the forefront of it. I feel like the look we got here is like a very current HLP look, which is like not what I was after, but like it's kind of just like where I've been recently as well. Look at it. I just feel like this is like, it's not no makeup because I definitely have makeup on. I think it's like detectable, but I just think it's like, ugh, like it's just like, it's gorgeous. It's like gorgeous. It's just like, I'm very happy with the way it looks. I mean, like obviously like I love a high impact glitter on my lids, but like to have something, do you want to pump up the jam a little bit just because we're having makeup playtime? Let's zoom you back in. Oh, not that way, this way. Let's zoom you back in. Let's get you on my eyes. I just want to do a quick run through of all of the makeup that I wanted to touch base with again. The Ritual Defeat Concealer, I think I want to bring this back into the fold. I think I'm going to put it in my concealer drawer. I really like the way my skin looks. It reminds me of the way that the Prada foundation looked on me during the summer, but I was wearing the Creator Concealer during the winter. So I mean, like, this is good. The CoverGirl primer, it's good. It's just like, I don't know that I will ever reach for it over anything else. And I just so rarely green color correct. Like, I do sometimes, but I do think my neck and I are at the point where we understand what we're doing while shaving. And the high points of my cheeks, my skincare, again, is under control right now. The redness on the high points of my cheeks isn't very bad right now. One of the other purchases I was going to make during the Sephora sale was to re-up on that La Mer product. And I really still like the La Mer product, but I don't think I'm that close to being done with it. Like, I think I have another couple months to go. And I think I might look for a K-Beauty or J-Beauty alternative to that product, just because I think it exists. And I think I can find something that I like just as much. But that was really nice to get my skin back, you know, on track, because it really was helpful when I had that sample of it. But I think I'm going to look other places for it. And if my skin, you know, reacts in a weird way whenever I start testing those, then I will just go back to the La Mer, because I know that it works for me. But I do think I want to explore just like less expensive options. But I'm actually very thrilled with how far the La Mer product has gotten me, because I bought it during the last Sephora sale. Well, the one in the spring. You know, I think it's been 6 months. I don't know if that happened in March or April, and we're here in November, and I still think I have a couple months to go. It might get me closer to a year's worth of product. And like, I know it's a very expensive product, but I'm very pleased that it has gotten me even this far. So I think I'm going to keep playing with the Merit Cava highlighter. Like, I love that glow. It was so pretty. Whenever I first tried Divine Daylight, I think that's what I thought I was going to get. And it's like a different thing. And I really like this. So I think I'm going to keep this in my testing drawer. So there's makeup all over my room. And this is something that I'm going to try to handle whenever we start again. I'm going to start anew in the new year. But once I've decided what I'm going to do with a product that I've been testing, I like move it to a different part of my room and I just like don't test it anymore. And then like whenever I do my reckonings, that's whenever it makes its like final appearance on my channel. So I think I'm ready to move the Merit Flesh Balm in Fox. I think it's a really pretty blush, and I think a lot of people would really like this. It's just not my perfect shade in the Flesh Balm, but I do like this formula. I think it's a really easy formula to wear. I like it. I'm into it. I feel like I've been so disjointed in this video. The Victoria Beckham eyewear, love it. Like, I love that as a base for like a sheer sparkle is just perfect. I put something over top of it to prove just to be extra, but I really like this Armani shadow. I think it's so pretty. It's gorgeous. It's exactly what I wanted. A sheer sparkle. I really have been loving the lip gloss so far. It's been the lip gloss I've been reaching for since I bought it, which is like not saying much because it's only been a couple of days, but it's a shade of lip gloss also that like it's gonna go with everything. And it's like a lot of times by the time I get to my lips, I want to just throw on a gloss, and like a gloss like this is gonna be very easy for me to choose with any look, really. And then Glossier You Do, a sleeper hit. I do think of the 3 things I bought at the Sephora sale, this is my favorite thing that I bought. Love the other 2 things. This was like, I wouldn't have been able to bet money before I went in that this would have been what happened, but that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was a nice reprieve. I try to do on my channel is to help myself and help you make better purchasing decisions. I want to encourage you to look at your makeup collection before you make a new makeup purchase to make sure that if you are choosing to buy something, you are making the best purchase you possibly can. I know I featured some things I bought from the Sephora sale, but ultimately I made a whole other video about the Sephora sale. And if you need help being talked out of things, I would watch that video. This video was not to encourage you to shop at the Sephora sale. I did go into the Sephora sale with a little bit of a game plan that kind of got changed up, but ultimately I think I landed in a very good place. I could have really overdone it. There were a lot of things I was interested in, but I like narrowed it down to 3 things. One thing that I was fairly certain I was going to buy, one thing I needed to smell before I bought, and then one thing was like a crapshoot. I just bought it. I didn't need to buy this. This was a rule break. Anyway, so if this kind of content sounds good to you, where someone's being really reflective of their makeup purchases, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video, share it with anyone you think might find this interesting. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. You can find those linked down below. If you want to support me there, feel free to. You don't have to. I do an additional video over there every month. Every person who donates, whatever amount you donate, you're going to get the same video, because it's kind of just like, it's very socialist. It's like everyone gets it. I'm just happy that people feel inclined to help support me that way. But there's no pressure to join my Patreon. I'm just so happy that you're here. I almost like went right into remember to follow your heart. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Remember to follow your hope and you'll find me. And I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.